Men who've been to prison is the myth about not dropping your soap in the shower true? It was literally a thought that occurred to me in the shower as I just dropped my soap, but I was showering alone. I guess the crux of my question is this. I've heard this phrase as a joke, but is there really a risk of unwanted penetration if you drop your soap in a prison shower? Is this an urban legend, or do prisoners actually take care not to drop their soap while showering? I was in an Irish prison, so I can't speak for America, where this seems to have originated. It does happen, but in the cases I've heard of it, the perpetrators had a kettle of boiling water poured over their heads. Generally speaking, prison is a homophobic place. Consensual or not, you can get severely beaten for such behavior. My older brother served a short sentence in 2019. I asked him how common rapping was in prison because I'd only heard about it on TV. He said it definitely happened, but more often than not, it happens when you owe people something, like borrowing money or borrowing a favor or something like that. 18 years ago, I spent some time in a low-security prison. I was 19 at the time. I was convicted of drug possession, and now I've been clean for over 10 years. Plus, I'm gay. I was incredibly scared going there because I'd seen too many movies and TV shows and knew that people like me were treated very differently there. I spent my first month in pretrial detention, I'm not exactly sure why, where every new person was kept in isolation for 23 hours with only one cellmate, and where we were taken to shower 3 times a week. We spent an hour a day going out into the yard and walking. Since I was essentially isolated from everyone else for the first month, I spent the entire 30 days thinking about being transferred to a real prison where I would serve my sentence. I'd only been there for 90 days, so I still had 2 months left in a real prison. Finally, the day of my transfer arrived. I boarded a bus and was taken to another facility. When I arrived, I was shocked by the number of people there and realized I'd simply be passed around. I'm not kidding, that's exactly what I thought. I spent most of that day observing big angry men because I'd been taught that those were the kind of people to be afraid of. Not only because I was gay, but also because I was 175 centimeters tall and weighed 56 kilograms. So I spent the next 2 months before being sent home smoking homemade cigarettes. They were cheaper than regular ones, and playing cards a lot with the other guys in my block. People questioned me about being gay, probably because it's less common there, but no one was aggressive towards me. I showered and went to the bathroom. In this prison, the bathrooms were separated by a low wall, unlike in the county jail where one was practically in the middle of the room. I worked in the kitchen, swapped snacks with the others, and watched TV shows with the old guys. My theory is that since it was a light prison with minimal security, no one was sent there for longer than a year, and many, like me, only lasted a few months. I think that causing too much trouble there puts you in serious trouble, and for the most part, people were pretty pragmatic about that. Sure, I saw fights and stuff, but I never felt like I was in any danger. I'm sure some people would disagree, but the place felt like a military camp or a ship. Everyone had to do their part to maintain order, and everyone worked together. Otherwise, we just played cards, watched TV, and joked around. On my last night, a bunch of guys stayed up with me. I couldn't sleep because I couldn't wait to get out. Eventually, the guys got a bunch of snacks and instant coffee, and we played cards all night until it was time for me to leave.